My name is Kevin Trom, and I'm the city engineer for North Liberty. I've been city engineer in North Liberty since about 1996, 97. I actually work full-time for Shive-Hattery. So Shive-Hattery is technically the city engineer, and I've been our representative in North Liberty for that long amount of time. When I first came to North Liberty, we had city council meetings in the old fire station, and it was a town of just over 3,000 people, I think, and today we're well over 20,000. So I've seen all of the growth, and some of the projects that were important to me were Ranchaw Way. That was a long time ago that we developed a master plan with Coralville, and then we've been implementing different phases of it. We just completed phase 5. And that was a really fun project. It was complicated, and it made a lot of improvements to the capacity of the highway and safety for pedestrians. Those were two of the big goals. Some of the other things that Ranchaw Way corridor development included were water quality improvements, all the biocells, the lighting, and the landscaping. It just really softened it up, and the pedestrian tunnel crossings that make a much more safe crossing for pedestrians. That was one of the projects that stand out to me. All the road reconstruction projects. My very first project was Zeller Street. At the time, it was Highway 965, which is now Ranchaw. So that was from Highway 965 all the way to Dubuque Street. And that was my first project. I was a young engineer back then, and it was my first one, so I spent a lot of time on it, and I'm really proud of it. I think it turned out well, and the concrete is still in amazing shape for over 25 years old. Oftentimes I get a question, how long does the street last? Well, it depends. How good's your base? But that one is over 25 years old, and it's still got a lot of life left in it. Zeller Street, Cherry Street, Front Street reconstruction, Jones Boulevard reconstruction. I liked all of those projects. They were really fun. They're fun too because, like in the neighborhood ones, you get a chance to meet a lot of the residents. There's a lot of pretty cool people in the city that you get a chance to meet and talk with as you're doing the project. The North Liberty Road one, Forever Green Road, 240th Street. I was so relieved when we got those done because they were suburban arterials of the city and they were not safe. They didn't have shoulders, they were steep drop-offs. So glad that we were able to complete those projects. Thanks in large part to the continued growth of the city, because development pays for a lot of that stuff. Prime example is Liberty High School. That's another big project of the school district, but it also spurred a lot of infrastructure improvements for the city. Improvements to North Liberty Road and Dubuque Street and the roundabout, our very first roundabout. Those projects are also near and dear to me, the roundabouts. I think they're just fantastic. They're safer for vehicles and pedestrians, and they're much more efficient. But that was the Liberty High School that spurred all of those improvements, as well as the East Growth utilities, because the high school needed water and sewer. So we had to bring water and sewer all the way from the wastewater plant up to the high school, with keeping in mind following our master plan to how are we going to sewer the rest of this area. So we made sure all the pipes were sized appropriately for future development on the whole east side. Similar project on the west side of the city that we just completed recently is the Southwest Growth Utilities. That's going to open up the western part of the city for development. That's a big one. Some other projects, the rec center, the community center, the pool, that was a big one early on. So we have a membrane bioreactor plant, an MBR plant, which is still a state-of-the-art wastewater treatment facility. We produce the highest effluent in the state. I mean, it is clean, clear water. It exceeds most of the drinking water standards. So I remember we toured plants down in Georgia to look at their MBRs when we were making the decision on the type of plant. Because we used to have a sequencing batch reactor plant, an SBR plant. Actually, I had 2 of those. But I'm so happy that the city council and staff got on board with the MBR, because the upfront costs were a little bit more than an SBR, but I think they made the right decision. I'm a big proponent of sustainability and water quality and environment, so this is much better for the environment. It dumps into Muddy Creek, which goes to Coralville, which goes to the university near the Iowa River, so it was a great decision. And the water plant, we have a brand new nanofiltration plant, so we're set up for water and wastewater for quite a while yet. We did the ASR well, the Aquifer Storage and Recovery well, a number of years ago. That was an innovative way to gain us more capacity and pump water down into this mile-deep aquifer and store it and then pull it back out as we need it. That's kind of cool. That's stuff they do in Las Vegas, and you don't see much of that in Iowa, but it was pretty innovative, and that was a fun project to be involved with. But the whole new plant, and we had new Jordan wells, and had to run new water mains through town. And I know it was disruptive for a short period of time, but I think everyone's very happy with the result. You don't think about it a whole lot when you flush your toilet and take a drink of water, but there's a lot going into being able to provide that water and being able to flush your toilet. So those are some really cool projects I think fondly of. Parks projects, they were fun projects for me, all the parks projects, because it seems like we were able to introduce and include water quality and sustainability components to each one of those projects. This is a prime example, Centennial Park, where we have this huge bioswale. It's the largest bioswale in the Midwest. We have a lot of amended soil, so it allows the water to percolate into the ground rather than just run off. And then the great big permeable paver parking lot. That's another water quality component that lets all the rainwater just go into the ground rather than run off. We've been successful in including those little permeable paver water quality improvements in other projects, like when we did Main Street by Reds, that little parking area off of Main Street, that's all permeable pavers. We just recently finished up a project in Penn Meadows Park. We included permeable pavers. Penn Meadows Park has biocells and porous concrete that's pretty old. We don't use that a whole lot because it's kind of ugly, and the pavers, they look a lot nicer. And Cornerstone Nature Park, the little park by Zeller and Dubuque Street, that was fun. We did a neat little pedestrian bridge, and we did porous concrete for the sidewalks through there. Just a lot of them. I'll be thinking about this for quite a while. I think of all the projects and all the growth. We were 3,000, now we're over 20,000 people. It's a lot to think about. All the new schools and the most recent ones, the Civic Campus. That's going to be fantastic. City Hall's under construction. It's going to have a cool outdoor event center for the public, and I can't wait to see when that's done. But that is going to be really cool to bring City Hall back to the old downtown where it used to be, right by the park, right by the fire station, police station. That, to me, is the heart of North Liberty, the old downtown. And with that is also the recent Dubuque Street Phase 1 project that we finally were able to clean up the old skewed intersections of Front Street and Dubuque Street. It wasn't necessarily a majorly unsafe intersection. We didn't have a whole lot of crash data on that intersection, but oftentimes heard complaints from people about how it just gave them trepidation to be in that intersection, have to crank your head all the way around to make sure that you weren't going to get hit when you pulled out. So that took a long time, but we were able to clean up the Cherry Street and Dubuque Street alignment. Not totally at 90 degrees where we engineers like to see it, but much better. And the pedestrian improvements with the parklets on the corner. Nice areas to be able to get an ice cream cone instead of walking straight into the street. Now you've got a little area you can sit down and eat an ice cream cone. Same thing by the bike shop. We have more room there for pedestrians, and I think it's much better for that whole area. Brand new parking in Penn Meadows Park. Yeah, the Civic Campus, that's a really great improvement for the city. Back to Ranshaw Way, so all the corridor improvements that we've completed to date. We got one more phase 6, to complete, and that'll be from basically City Hall all the way down to Forever Green Road. And we'll have one more pedestrian tunnel, so we'll have 3, and we have secured some federal funding for that, but it's going to be a few years yet before that's constructed. But it's coming on the horizon. Yeah, we have lots of work to do yet, and we'll also be able to manage growth because that's a big part of it. As development happens, you have to make sure the infrastructure keeps up with it and is appropriate for the area. It's been over 25 years, and I think I've enjoyed every bit of it. Being a city engineer, you get a lot of unique and diverse projects. You do a road project, then you do a water main project, you do a park project, a drainage project. So it's a lot of varied work, which is kind of fun and rewarding to see them and touch them and use them and sit on this bench. This was part of our project. Liberty Center Pond, almost forgot about that. That's one of my favorites. That's such a cool park around that pond. You don't see that very often in small town. We're not really small town. I keep calling us a small town, but we're not. We're a big town with a small town feel, but that's a neat project with the trail around it. And you got the underground pedestrian tunnel to the community center. I know it gets a lot of use, so that's a fun project. Kansas Avenue, that was another big one with another roundabout. There'll be more roundabouts in the future. Oh, the interchange, Forever Green Road interchange to I-3, that was huge. All we had was Penn Street. If we ever had a problem with that interchange, traffic backed up everywhere. Now at least we've got 2, so we've got a backup. And that was a big project. And upcoming is going to be the new Penn Street interchange that we're working with the DOT on. And it's going to look pretty similar to the Evergreen Road one. It'll have a new bridge and it'll have some pedestrian accommodations just like the other one. That's coming up. And then you're going to see next to North Liberty all the I-380 work over the next few years. And that's a big undertaking for the DOT. But that's another big project upcoming. We're not anticipating any big projects for the wastewater department. We're just completing an update to their current facility plan, and the original projections are looking good and even a little bit better. So I don't see any major expansions at the wastewater plant for quite a while. We'll be doing some work at the streets maintenance facility, doing some interior remodel and then maybe some additional storage bays here and there. Water plant, they're in good shape too for quite a while, I think. And then it's just keeping up the roadway and prioritize those and adding to the capital improvements plan and implementing the plan. North Liberty has a great staff and a great mayor and city council and commission members, and it's been a joy and a pleasure to work with all of them. I'm very proud to tell people that I'm city engineer for North Liberty. North Liberty has a fond place in my heart. It really does. It's going to be tough to leave, but sometimes we have to move on and do other things. I think that's about it. I just started kind of rambling on it.